we're back for episode 21. As always, we've got Gunny Matheson,
For the show.
Joe Schmidt, and our, always say special guest, but Casey is special, more special than most.
Yeah, thank you.
Casey Deary.
And all your credentials are going to be like in the little box down here.
It's going to be a big box.
I'm sure.
We don't have to cover all that.
I'm sure, yeah. Thank you for
There'll
editing.
be a lot of stuff written there.
So Casey, thanks for coming up. You're having a very good last couple of months, huh?
Yeah, it's been pretty good.
Coming off winning the Derby, the NRBC, excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he did. He did have a good
Yeah.
couple months.
It's been all right.
I was thinking to myself, what is he talking about?
Well, I was promised Topo Chico. Was kind of the only reason I came.
Yeah.
And I forgot,
Tom failed
screwed
on
up.
that miserably.
Do you have Topo Chico on your shirt?
Yeah.
No, but that's really a good idea.
Yeah.
I have a little room.
I thought they were sponsors for you.
That's probably, we need to, Nicole, get on that when we get home.
Hashtag Topo Chico.
Yeah,
We need you.
that's a good idea. That's a great idea. I think I have photos already done for that.
Awesome. So, anyway, so let's get into your history a little bit. I don't know where you started, but I remember when I first started seeing you I guess one of the first times I remember is during the qualifier for the 2010 WEG games.
Okay.
I know you were here a little bit before that, but I didn't pay much attention to you, except for you annoyed me a little bit because you were this new guy that was always whistling. You guys remember that?
No.
He's always whistling. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
who?
kind of still do that.
That guy is. I know, but now you're Casey Deary.
So you can
It's
whistle.
okay to whistle.
You can
now.
do whatever you want now. Before
Right.
you weren't Casey Deary.
Yeah, and you're the guy whistling.
Yeah, you're
Like,
just
dude.
who's that freaking guy that I
I was
don't
the-
know.
I was
Yeah.
the fat kid with no teeth that was whistling. all the
Yeah,
time.
Yes.
and I mean it was a little bit annoying.
I'm still that fat kid.
I happen to find it a little bit offensive that you bring up.
That we're fat shaming so early.
Yeah,
Is it too quick?
Yeah, usually.
Sorry, buddy.
Usually it's like 45 minutes in.
All right, I'll back off that.
We
little.
always get it in there, but sometimes it's
Yeah, we missed it the last episode.
But he fat shamed himself.
Self
That's
right there.
different.
I do sit at the end of the table for a reason.
Completely different. But anyway,
Okay.
so before that, how'd you get into the reining horse business?
You know, I was the little kid that grew up in a neighborhood that always loved a horse, and I tried to figure out ways to do that. My folks weren't involved in it at all. Ended up, I had a friend at school that had a horse, and I'd go ride the school bus home with them and ride. And got into the 4-H group, and that's where I met Nicole. And she's chased me for years and years there. That's not funny.
Yeah. So what you're saying is the pick was slim in your town.
I guess that's probably right.
That's what it was.
That's
The
probably
only
right.
way I can see you and Nicole getting together is if she felt sorry for you.
I'll take it either way. I don't really care.
Yeah.
I'm not proud. So anyway, I did the 4-H deal and went to a reining clinic that a gentleman named James Davison did. And I just thought it was really cool that James could take that horse that had been primarily a reining horse, and he ran a barrel pattern on it, and he worked a cow on it, and he could just pretty much do anything that you needed to do on that. And I thought, if a guy could teach a horse those basics, and it applies to everything across the board, then you can kind of go in your direction that you wanted to.
So your parents weren't really into the horses?
No, sir.
Isn't that crazy how sometimes, we hear that, a lot of people grow up in the business, their parents had had horses, so
Right.
they just kind of fell into it.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, if it's in you, it's in you, right?
There was no denying it. I can remember as a kid walking to the end of the neighborhood. There was a ranch that kind of surrounded that, and I'm, stealing mom's carrots, taking them down to the horses. But it was, I have amazing parents who are very, very supportive, but they didn't know what direction to go. I can remember, they didn't know what a horse trainer was, or that there were actual barns that you could put a horse in. The extent of our riding at that point were the $20 rides through the mountains.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's cool. You hear that every once in a while. I grew up in the horse business. Gunny did not. And Joe, you didn't really either, did you? Yeah, so I was kind of the exception at this table, but everybody's just ate up with it at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
And no, that's super. That's a cool story. And then you, at some point, Who's the first person you went to work for?
That would be Clint Haverty.
Yeah, I remember that.
So the day after I graduated, I moved to Crum, and I worked for Clint, and I did night classes and stuff where I went to NCTC and got the first part of my college deal done, and I spent 2.5 or 3 years there with Clint, and then I moved to Stephenville, Texas, and finished my degree at Tarleton.
Oh, so you have a degree.
Oh yeah,
You're a smart horse trainer.
business management.
Okay.
I have no idea where it is, but I have one. So,
Well, it's not a useless degree either. If you if you quit training horses, you can actually do something.
exactly.
With that degree.
So that was part of the deal. Was when I had that accident as a kid where I crushed my face, I thought, I don't know if I go through something like that again. If A, would I be able to get through it again, or B, would I be willing to go through it again?
Yeah.
So I
let's
knew.
let's go back and let's talk. I've heard that story, but tell us the story about how you got in a wreck.
So through high school, all I did was buy and sell horses. I just, the Dallas Morning News or whatever, I'd flip $1,500 horses, whatever. And I actually bought a colt as a baby foal. Really, really sweet horse. Raised him. I did the school projects with him. He did all kinds of tricks even before he was broke to ride. And Alan Chappell and I were very close friends. And so I was at Alan's starting that colt, and I had 8 or 10 rides on him and never an issue. And I rode him from the barn to the arena, and I rode him, opened the gate, pushed him through the gate, closed the gate. I mean, this is like the very beginning of all of it. And while I was closing the gate, again, I was a fat little kid, something spooked him.
He looks at
Sorry.
Johnny
I shouldn't. I'll try to focus it.
this way.
I'm trying to control it, buddy. It just,
Maybe you don't have to describe it that way. Maybe you can just say, not
Husky.
in peak physical
Condition.
I did wear the Husky jeans from Walmart. That was my logo. So
Did I tell you?
I just didn't want you to feel left out.
Did I tell you I lost some weight lately? And you're kind of pulling a sensitive string.
I didn't mean to look that way with the fat joke. I just,
sure.
I didn't want you to feel left out. I was trying to bring you
It was
in.
an apology that looked this way that I used that wording.
Okay, sorry. So, anyway.
Like I'm not here.
Okay. So the colt spooked and jumped out from underneath me, and I came down and hit my head on the gate, and my foot hung up in the stirrup. So he dragged me about 30-something feet, chaps in there on the 2-year-old already in the arena, and he drags me, and I basically bit the bottom of the fence, and it jerked my foot out of the stirrup, but it crushed basically this side of my face, under my nose, and across. So my folks were actually in Florida for the Texas Ranger spring training. And my mother's a school teacher and very organized, so she had the paper for George. If anything happens, George has care, custody, and control of the kid. So Alan grabs me up, gets me in his truck, and we all know how clean Alan is. So he's got all of these shirts that he's stuffed behind his seat. So as he's racing to the hospital, he keeps handing me more shirts to keep me from bleeding all over everything. And I guess I went through 6 or 7 shirts on the way to the hospital. Takes me to Terrell Hospital, which is not necessarily a great hospital that you want to go to, but it was close.
You are just dogging all the time.
Sorry, Tara.
With all due respect.
We know you're trying. We
Well,
know you're trying.
it makes the story, right? So George gets up there, and the doctors aren't going to work on me. Like I'm literally bleeding out.
Now, who's George?
Alan's dad.
Alan's
George
dad.
Shep.
Okay, that's what I figured. All right.
George gets up there, and this is what a good salesman George is. George convinces the doctors to work on me, even though it's not in their regulations. He just says, well, that's fine, we'll just leave him here and you can let him die. And he talks the doctors into going to work on me. So anyhow, it was a intense situation. My grandmother rushes out there, and she's telling my folks, oh, Tim, it looks bad. I don't know if he's going to make it. And, I mean, I had a few teeth sticking out this way, and then they had no idea where the rest of these were, which they found some of them up, and so anyway, it turned out to be a real blessing. There was the head surgeon from Dallas Medical, the head plastic surgeon, was there doing another procedure on a lady, and finished that up, and came over and wired and screwed and all of that stuff, put my face back together. So
the people of Terrell Hospital aren't so bad.
no, it worked out great.
Yeah.
Well, that surgeon,
Fine establishment.
that surgeon, he just got done with one. I mean, we can see he was probably a little tired before he got.
He didn't quite.
Honestly, though,
fix it all the way.
this is what was left. You guys should pop a picture up of how beautiful I was before the wreck.
Yeah, we will. If you got a photo, we'll use it.
Oh, I have to dig that up.
Picture up there, even if it's not you.
Yeah.
So was that was at Chapel's, but then
Right.
I thought that was at Clint's for some reason,
No.
but wasn't at Clint's.
No, so I had 8 surgeries after that.
Wow.
And they'd only do one every 6 months. So it took a long time.
Wow.
Bone grafts, and it just was a big mess. But it honestly, it made my personality is what it did, because I honestly could care less what you thought about me. I was going to be me. I was going to be happy with what I was going to do, and that's part of why I'm in a good mood all the time. But when I went my junior and senior and first 2 years of college without teeth, basically. They made a little apparatus thing so my mom could have senior pictures with teeth, but I never wore it because it was really, really bulky. So, when you're going to college with all those people and you're missing I'm literally can take that out and it looks like I have no teeth.
But if you wear a cowboy hat, it doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. I mean, it covers it all.
And Nicole stayed you from 4-H when you guys were little itty bitty all the way through there?
We weren't even dating then. She was just chasing me. We actually didn't start dating until after I'd lost my teeth.
So you were rejecting her while you were.
I just, it was like,
no, let's not
slow
go back
down,
to
don't.
that. Yeah.
Slow down.
Yeah, kind of a big deal. Just
Right.
it
It just, it took a little time for me. So, yeah, at that point, I'm working for Clint. When Nicole and I started dating, I'm working for Clint. I'm cutting my own hair with the horse clippers because I couldn't afford a haircut, and I had no teeth. So obviously, I had no money.
And how old were you at this point?
Oh,
This was before or after college?
during. So I would have been whatever, 19-ish,
Right.
20-ish,
Right.
something like that. So.
Nice.
And then when I finally get my teeth, right, all these years I've waited, and because one of the last surgeries they took for the bone graft, they basically sewed my top lip to my gums because they needed the skin. So my top lip was shrunk like this. And so then I get these teeth, so that what they did, they went in and they opened that lip back up and let all of that heal, and then when I finally get these teeth, my top lip, I can't close them around these teeth. So I'm like this all the time. Like, I can't close it. And Nicole says, I don't like them, take them out. I said, take them out.
I've waited a long time for
8
these.
surgeries and I finally have teeth and you want me to take them out.
Oh, that's funny.
So,
Well, it's pretty amazing though. That after all those surgeries and all that stuff, you look relatively normal.
well, like I said, I'm not all the way back, but I'm probably 60%. You're probably seeing what 60% is actually.
I'm sure by those last couple of surgeries, you are over it. Huh?
Oh, you know what? You can still to this day, if you scrub my arm with alcohol, like you're testing my blood, I will pass out.
Really?
Like you don't even have to have the needle. I will go every single. I just had a nurse that had a hard time finding the vein, and I went out, and since then, it's. My wife is tough as boot leather, right? I mean, she can give blood or whatever while she's cooking or birthing a child or whatever, and it's nothing. And they get over there and they scrub my arm, and I'm all the way gone. It's not even just a woozy, lightheaded, all the way gone. So
That's awesome.
Casey Hint does that too.
Yeah, Dwayne Latimer, you pull a needle out, you walk
Yeah, he's
after
bad.
Dwayne with a needle,
Yeah.
yeah,
he is gone.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's interesting. So, while you worked for Clint, you were going to school.
Correct.
So, I know that we had the discussion with Cade. I know his grandparents did want him to go get a business, go to school for some kind of a business, not necessarily a degree, but take some courses. And I was never a fan of it because he was in a little bit different, obviously, a little bit different situation.
Yeah, but he's not that
he had a
slow.
little-
He could do it.
No, he's not the smartest kid in the world. No.
You didn't want to push.
They have
you don't
classes
wanna-
for everybody.
Yeah, you don't want to push a kid like
Yeah,
that.
but
you know?
one of his
You did.
roommates now, one of his high school roommates that still lives with him, helped him pass through high school, I bet.
Oh, they have classes that you can do that
He
in
didn't do it
college.
all by himself. There's no way.
Yeah.
Well,
That is what you were talking about, isn't it?
no.
Oh,
Really?
sorry.
But I know where you're going. It's
sorry.
okay,
I'll-
right? So
Right.
it's the obvious conclusion. But anyway, so in Cade's position, I wanted him to he was riding, going to work, hated school anyway.
Right.
And, I felt like what he could learn in school could be valuable for sure, but I don't know how that always translates to the horse business, as we've seen a million really, really smart guys come into the horse business and they're going to be smarter than all of us, and it didn't translate. So I felt like I could teach him more about the actual, business part of the horse business.
Yeah.
Right.
Real world.
But how much do you feel? I know you run a successful business.
Well, my wife does, yeah.
But your wife probably is I'm sure a huge part of it. But you and I have had discussions. I know you understand the business
Sure.
side. So how much of that you think you learned in school, and how much of that you think you're just that smart?
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily think I learned a ton in school, and that wasn't necessarily the reason I went. I mean, for me, it was as much a safety net if it didn't work out, right? I mean, if that's really that's why I went. But in my opinion, running a successful, how do you say that word?
You got the
You
second
got
time.
second
You were
time.
close.
Second,
Yeah, it's your
successful.
lip.
I almost.
I think it's that lip.
No, I nearly spit my teeth out when I said that. These are twice as old as they're supposed to be, and I will launch them across the room. So you keep the camera rolling; it could happen. So, but you know what? To me, if you're fair to people, it's really simple. And just here's what it is. It's black and it's white.
Yeah,
It makes it easier to run a business when you treat it like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as far as the customer relations go, for sure, and I know you're good at that. But you and I have also had some conversations about the financial part of it, and I know you're also savvy about that.
Right.
Did that come from school, or did that come from Hard Knocks?
Probably a little of both. And like I said, I have amazing parents, and my dad is extremely disciplined and was very open about, that part of it growing up too. So I think I learned a little from there, and obviously I think you learn a lot from the school stuff too. But
Just being a friend of yours, I think even your reining career in general has taught you that, because you've been to every little horse show in Texas with 30 horses, and it started with 10 horses with everybody. Like you got 10 horses in every class. And
right.
It started from just that to now. I mean, just major event horses. Now you still do the other stuff, but I mean, you've learned the business from my point of view, the bottom all the way
From
to
the
top.
ground up.
Yeah, from the
without-
ground
Right.
up.
From the ground up.
Well, I mean, the work part of it was never an issue. This year at the NRBC, you take these kind of crazy numbers. Well, we had 36 head of horses there.
Mm-hmm.
So the work part of, if you're going to be there, I'd just as soon be working as I would.
But even a month before the NRBC, you're in Waco, Texas with 30 head of horses
Right.
too. I mean,
Sure. And I have really good help too. I mean, it's not like I'm pulling that whole load by myself.
Yeah, it absolutely takes that.
Yeah,
We're the same. We take 40 or 45 to a lot of the big events, and it takes that. I mean, I never could. I couldn't do that when Gunny was working for me.
I don't even know why I show up. But you know what?
They probably told you there was trouble Chico
Yeah,
here
but you
too.
know what? The only Ferrari he ever owned was when I worked for him, okay? So
I
I
know.
No, he's got one now. He's got a better one
must
now.
have done something right.
I got a better model now.
Yeah, and none of you worked there. Huh? You don't work there? Huh? Well, the other Ferrari was Memphis and there, so I must have done something right.
He's so sensitive.
Oh,
He is extremely
good.
I know. I've
Yeah.
known him a
It's
long
been,
time.
you know, it's been worse
Very
lately.
sensitive.
Yeah.
I think it's
worse.
been
I mean,
worse, yes.
really, the only thing softer than the exterior shell is his emotions.
Yeah.
I have never been
I don't-
so freaking tag teamed in my life.
Whoa.
Than sitting at the table.
Can he
with you
say
guys.
that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it-
We didn't-
wasn't that
we're not
on the
tag
list?
teams.
No, it
I'm not.
But you turn these cameras on. You think it's okay to make fun of me?
Well,
No, that's
you
not
were
true.
late.
That
You
is
were
not
so
true.
late
We-
today.
We make fun of you all the time.
I was gonna say the cameras weren't
That's right.
rolling when that started.
I don't know why I show up.
Now you know how Todd feels.
So, anybody want to send any flowers or cards to Gunny?
To Gunny, yeah.
Do you guys know what time we started? I mean, can I just put in 21 minutes?
She
and-
hasn't wiped any numbers off the
No.
board
Can I
yet.
just leave? You don't need me here. Casey.
Yes, we do.
I'll see you next week.
Yeah, who are we gonna make fun of if you're not here?
He'll have to get Kate up here.
Yeah, we did that before. We were rough on Kate too.
Here to talk about Casey, man, making fun of old Gun down here. I'm doing things the right way now. I got shoes on.
And pants, thank goodness.
I'm doing things the right way, and you guys still can't.
Now, speaking of that, I thought you were not gonna wear pants.
Nicole told me I had to. She also wanted me to wear this like an American flag coat that's about 3 sizes too small.
That would make cute.
So there were 2 things I had to do, so we negotiated, and I only did the one.
Gotcha.
So you always showing blue. What's the reason there?
So
Yeah, dude.
It's
Is
a
it really the shirt's fault that
I
you've
did
done
not
so
notice
good?
that actually.
it has nothing to do with the shirt. When I'm at the horse show, like you said, I have 100 horses there, whatever. I got a lot to do, and my wife keeps wanting me to change shirts to match her pads.
Yeah.
And I said, Nicole, I can't. I don't have time. I need to be on that horse getting it ready. I don't need to be in there. I know I look like a Ken doll, but you can't treat me like one. So I said, that's a true story. So I said, you get pads that match that blue shirt, and then you never have to guess. I don't ever have to worry if I got the right shirt or the wrong shirt. They're
Yeah.
all blue.
I like that.
Make it easy.
Trying to
Say
match.
Ken?
Yes, he said
I thought you said Len, like Elliot. Len.
Lendl.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
I don't know, but can you imagine?
It's like an offshoot of a Ken doll.
It's a Ken doll with no teeth.
It's the fat toothless redneck version in overalls.
If you got a fat Ken like Glenn.
Here's the Lendl
Don't
riding
look
his
this
horse.
direction. Look that direction. Don't look down here when we're making fat
You
jokes.
guys are being so mean tonight. People watch these stupid cameras and talk about his story, and y'all are just being jackasses.
Len drives a tow truck.
Oh, now
That's actually Tomater's owner.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
anything wrong with
Yeah, no.
now we're gonna stereotype toaster.
Yeah, that's right.
This is great. We're just pissing all kinds of people.
Lendl.
So anyway,
It's got removable teeth.
after Clint, where did you go?
When I left Clint's, I hired on at the.
You already said that.
He wasn't listening.
I don't know this.
No, you were too busy with laughing at the fat guy at the end of the table.
Oh man.
So I did. I moved to Stephenville, actually Biloxi, and I hired on at the J. Bar Fletch Ranch.
Which is cutting place?
Well, Fletch was a cutting horse, but Mr. Cannon had a couple of properties there, so he had a 4,000 acre place and a 6,000 acre place. And I hired on with a friend of mine named Lloyd Harper, and I day worked there for a year and a half or so while I was going to school.
So that brings me to something when you bring up the cutting. So I have a question here from
Winston?
Winston Hansman.
No, we can't take any questions from Winston.
So
Those are never going to go the right direction.
I'm supposed to ask Casey
Oh boy.
about
Getting ready for the
He
work.
came over to work and he got ready for the world's greatest.
I knew this was coming.
And
I should have left when I found out.
he
there
said
was
he
no
just
Topo
needed a
Chico.
little work on getting out of the herd. Other than that, he should be good. And then it had an LOL with that smiley face with the tears.
Right. Yeah.
So go ahead and
It's
expand on that.
it was really so. Winston is a lot of fun to have around, and he's always joking. And so he'd been coming over getting help with the reiners. Well, the first time he called me, I thought, man, that's pretty cool. Winston Handsman's coming over and gonna ride with me. I thought, man, I didn't realize what a horrible deal I got on it, but I thought it was pretty cool at the time.
Yeah. Until you're around him for a little while.
Right, I'm sitting here going, gee, so he shows up, he's leading his horse down, he's in tennis shoes. And I said, you gonna ride him? He said, no, I want you to ride him. So I'm thinking, oh man, here we go. So this thing runs down there, and I mean, Winston had been training at him. It was his snaffle bit horse.
Training at him.
I'm sure he was amazing on a cow. Let's just say that. But he runs down there. I try to stop him, and it was like falling out of a helicopter, landing on your tailbone on the concrete from a helicopter.
Oh man.
Over and over and over. And then I went, now I realize why he had tennis shoes on. He didn't want to see. So anyway, it's been a lot of fun though. He's brought horses back and forth. And so when my wife convinced me to do this World's Greatest Horseman thing, Winston was obviously my first choice to go get help from. So joking, I just need help getting out of the herd. And I really was struggling with that part of it. But turns out I really needed help in pretty much all of the areas that involved me being on top of the horse.
So you fell off.
No, there was a few near misses, but Winston was great. He put me on, like a couple of those older horses that, really took care of me. So.
And then if my memory serves, you went off pattern in the rain.
Yeah, that is correct. Yes, I struggled in the reining, which is an extremely difficult sport. I mean, just goes to show you the rest of those events are very easy. I mean, it really is. The reining is obviously the hardest one.
Yeah, remembering that pattern.
That was my favorite kind of story, honestly,
great.
because it was Winston really wanted to put him down, and then he put Winston down, so we got a twofer.
Yeah.
I love those.
Well, it was really, there was no put down. Winston was obviously smart enough to wear his tennis shoes over. So I couldn't get him in a situation where I could actually help Winston better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was more about watching Casey suffer
Yeah.
than it was helping Winston.
So, all right, so I just had to, that was a good segue into that question.
Right, that's a great
So
question.
Let's go back. So you worked at what would you say it was?
The J-Bar Fletch.
J-Bar
yeah.
Fletch, yeah.
I actually, they put me out on the shoe bar, which is 6,000 acres, and I was the only person out there. So I went from, being at Clint's for nearly 3 years where you guys know our schedule. It's extremely grinding.
Yeah.
And to be on that starting level where you're doing the grunt work that takes all the extra time. So to go from that out there where basically Lloyd gave me a list of stuff I had to do that week, and I might not see anybody all week. I know, like when I'd go to school, I would see people, but through the summer or whatever, I could go a week without seeing another person, and it was
feel like
amazing.
I feel like you like seeing people.
Oh, I do. I love people. But when I was in that, in that pressure cooker for that time, and I loved Clint and Liz to death. They were amazing to me. But I was there as a grunt. That's what my job was.
When you were done, you were okay to get out.
I was.
It's a lot of work.
It was a lot of pressure, and then to do the school on top of that. So I'm trying to do homework and stuff at night and keep caught up, and then because Clint didn't want me gone, obviously. So I took most of what I did when I was at Clint's was night classes. I think I took one class in the morning, and then I got to work Sunday, to catch up for that. But to move out there and do the day working deal was. It was incredible. I had a list of responsibilities that I had to do, but there was zero pressure there.
And then how long were you there?
Probably a year and a half before.
But how much was horse training and how much was ranching?
None. I didn't do any. I rode every day, but it was
just checking fence. And
I'm
chores.
doctoring cattle and all of that stuff.
So what was your mindset at that point? Because you go from thinking you want to be a reining horse trainer at Clint's, right? to just going and ranching? What was your mindset? What
Well,
made you take that move?
Well, I knew I needed to finish school, and I knew that in that environment it would have been impossible for me to get it all done. So I needed to focus on that part of it, and still
have a job.
And still make a living, right? Yeah. So, and Nicole lived in Biloxi there at her parents' place and was going to school in Stephenville. So we were dating at that time. And so it was just kind of it was a transition period. And obviously when you're there, you don't know that. But all I knew is I needed some way to get all of my school stuff handled without, making myself go crazy in the process. So once I kind of got towards the school deal where it was handled. School was always, this is not bragging, but school was very easy for me, and I did not like it.
He's not bragging, Cade. No, school was easy for him.
It really was. I mean, I can hear something.
Making fun of me for 30 minutes straight.
Well,
I didn't look that way when I talked about school
but I
being
want to
easy.
make sure and point it out this way.
Right.
Now.
This is like I look this way when I make the fat jokes.
It's all even. No, you look at me, and then we look at him and make fun of him.
I don't know if you watched, but Sarah Dawson graduated when she was 16. So I don't think you're the smartest person.
No, for sure not. All I'm saying is I can hear it the one time, and then it's repetition for 8 months. It drove me nuts. I absolutely hated it. So it wasn't like once I got in that rhythm of what the schoolwork was, it wasn't like it took a ton of time to keep it going. And so then I started taking a few, we called them grocery horses. I mean, I remember a 5-year-old stud that had never been touched, and I said, yeah, you bet I'll get it going. And it bucked me off so many times. So many times.
So you went from there, then where'd you go after that? You finished your school, you did a little ranching to keep going, and then where'd you go?
So the guy that owned the place that I have now, his name was Robbie Robertson, and he had horses with us there at Clint's. And in fact, he owned the very first futurity horse that I showed when I was there at Clint's.
How'd you do?
I marked a 200. But I got a really great picture.
Yeah,
it's all about the photo.
I mean, it was like, you look at that picture and you go, man, you would have won a huge check there.
You still got the picture too.
You bet I do. Because then I tell all my help, that right there, just that goes to show you that it always looks better than it feels.
That's right.
So
it's all about
I marked
the
a
photo.
200 on it, and I said, Clint, please don't make me show that thing back. That mare had broken her neck as a yearling and was bred as a yearling. So we actually started her as a 3-year-old. I made the paint fraternity finals on her two-handed, and then showed her at the rating fraternity, marked the 200. It was good times. Good times.
Good times.
So, anyway, Robbie, when I was there, would always say, hey, I have this place in Weatherford, why don't you come manage it? And, no, I can't do it. I'm going to stay here, I got to do school. So anyway, once we kind of neared the end, I think I had a year left of school, Nicole and I were getting married, and so we moved over to Robbie's place there and rented stalls. So then I drove from Weatherford to Stephenville to finish school and started taking outside horses from there.
Yeah, and that's the same place you're at now?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. So how long in before you bought the place?
Probably 3-ish years. We rented it probably 3 years. And then Robbie we called him Papa Robbie. He was like our therapist. The first year of marriage was obviously, for her it would have been easy, but it was hard, right? I mean, it's a lot of work, that first year of marriage. So he was like our therapist. He had an office in that barn, and every day he would, take us and smack our heads together and tell us to pay attention. So he was really, really instrumental in that first part of it. So he kind of allowed me to build my business there, and still, because he didn't manage the farm, so I basically ran it. I paid him board, but I still had to do all the buying, the feed, and the shavings, and managing the people, and all of that fun stuff. And so once it got up and going, we had actually, Robbie and I and Nicole had looked at building another place together. And after shopping, there just wasn't anything around. So he said, why don't you just buy this place? And I said, there's no way. I said, I'm 24 years old. I have zero credit. I'd paid cash for everything I had. there's no banker in their right mind that's going to loan that money to me. So he said, let me make some phone calls, and he ended up co-signing on the note. And then my dad came in on 10% of it so we could use his credit. And so Dad helped us get going, and Robbie helped us get going, and then we ended up buying Dad out of it. They took Robbie off.
Yeah, that's a good story. That's good. It's,
I mean,
it
I
always
don't-
takes somebody, right?
Oh, for sure.
Nobody gets in.
No, that's you gotta have somebody to help you out.
Never had that.
No, you never had. Vern, I hope you're not watching this.
No, I never just had anybody in the business that helped me to that next level. Yeah, don't make fun of me now.
I carried him longer than his mother. There, nobody else would put up with that. Then when he left, I was still sending him horses and helping him out. Yeah,
Still
never
does.
ends.
Still does.
Still does.
Still does.
Still does. Never ends.
What about when? At what point in time in your business did you say, "I can do this. I can be great at this"?
I haven't made it there yet.
Yeah.
That's a daily deal to get up and struggle and improve and.
Yeah, but there had to be a horse that say, "Okay, I can be." There had to be one. Or,
Well, I mean, I think the gun model did that for me.
really,
Yeah.
that late in it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Because you had a couple horses before that were pretty
I
good.
had- yeah,
The
I-
Little Bay Starlight and the Cisco's Roan Ranger horse.
yeah.
Yeah, Gunner's Indian.
And
I mean, he was kind of
Yeah, but he
the
was
first big
trained.
one.
Yeah, but he had a good
But you did well.
foundation.
Yeah, that's
Good
right.
foundation.
That's right. But that's the first like big win.
Let's
you had,
agree to
right?
disagree.
No, it's not. Cisco's
No?
Roan Ranger was
Before that. Oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah, Cisco was 05.
I knew they were close.
I had, there were some of those good mares like this Chick's Done Dreamin' that George Lawrence owned and Starlight Sugar Whiz. I mean, there were certainly great horses along the way, but there's still that, yeah, you'd made the open finals a couple of times, but there's still that question in there, do you have what it takes to go
next level.
right? And so for me, that's why I say the gun model, because Nicole and I owned half of that mare. And we turned down some stupid offers. And when your credit cards are maxed out, you got kids to feed.
And you got a lot of kids. You got 4 kids, right?
18
Is
kids.
it 4 or
something like
5?
Yeah, there's 4
There's
of them.
4, right?
Yeah, there's 2 boys and 2 girls. I'm trying to think there at that point. I guess it would have just been the 2 boys, but
Gotcha.
they eat like there's 6
He's got
or 8
so
of
many
them.
kids, he names them by number.
That's actually a fact. The last
Yeah,
one,
that's right. You did. You're the number 2.
the last one went by Quattro for a long time.
Nice.
So, but the gun model was. I can remember having the conversation with Nicole of, I mean, we're turning down stupid money, and I can remember saying to her, because she's going, hey, I don't know if you've seen this bill and this bill and this bill, but we might need to entertain selling them. And I can remember saying, well, if you don't think I can do it, then let's sell her. And obviously on the backside,
That's kind of a loaded question.
yeah.
Wow. Right there, dude.
I didn't intend for it to come out that way, but that's how it came out.
Yeah.
And so she said, no, I think you can do it. So we bit the bullet, right?
Wow.
Yeah, but from the time that you rented stalls, before that, you didn't think you were capable of reaching that level?
I mean, how do you know that?
Does anybody?
How do you know that? I mean,
Yeah,
if
does
you're
anybody
not
say
at
you
that
did?
level, how do you know where you're going?
Yeah.
And then reality is, if you don't have that horse, you don't have
you
a
ain't
chance of
making
getting
it.
there.
For sure.
So, for me, I look at it and I go, it's 75% that horse, right? I mean, it can be a great horse.
91, 92% maybe?
Well, I'd have to not fall off, which there's been a lot of near misses in that deal too on great ones. So, how do you know when you're on that side of it if you have what it takes? Are you going to be able to take that pressure? I mean, when you run in the open finals there and you've just turned down $500,000 for a horse, and I mean that mare couldn't hear a thing, and it was so loud in there that she would shake. Because it was so loud. So I just don't know that there's a way to go, yes, I knew, or yes, I knew that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
But that didn't necessarily mean,
But it took that horse.
it took that horse to go, okay, you can do that, you can get to that level, and then to come back the next year, and I think I was third at the NRBC and third at the Derby on her, so it wasn't just like an accident the one time where I, did my job. But I can tell you, thinking back, watching that run, I didn't really remember the stop and back in both turns. I mean, that was almost like an out-of-body experience for me there.
Right.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, no, and as much as, I think we're all the same, right? As much as you've won,
Boy, that hurt.
and as much as you've done, I think we think the same. I don't know.
Ouch. No Topo Chico, and then he's living like he is.
No matter what you've won or what you've done, I think if you have a couple of bad horse shows, you start going, wait, what's going on?
Absolutely.
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
sure.
I think that's the common denominator with all of the really good, all the guys that can win something. The common denominator is the fear of losing or the fear of not being good enough.
Right.
Except for maybe Andrea.
Yeah, but does he ever lose?
If he doesn't do good, I think he just the horse isn't good enough.
Yeah.
On to the next.
Yeah.
But all the most, and I'm not saying that's bad on him.
Sure.
And I'm gonna get him.
You're
I'm gonna
wrong.
get him on
No,
the show. And
I
tell
can-
him that at
He's
some
been
point.
there. I'm sure. He's
Yeah,
been there.
no,
He knows,
it eats him
he
up.
knows exactly why the highs are high and why the lows are low.
Yeah.
And it's like he said, 75% is the horse. He knows. He knows when he's on a good
I
run.
can't wait to get him on the show. He's gonna be on the show at some point.
Well, he committed to the show anyway.
He's committed. He's committed. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to ask that question because everybody's got a little bit different personality, and what you see from the outside is a lot of times not exactly how it is from the inside. I mean,
Yeah.
being that we all know a lot of the time, and I think being on, and you've been on a WEG team, and I've been on all of them.
Let me see. Oh yeah.
Now,
I lost count.
Now, for hold on a minute. For clarification, the last one he was on the team, but he was my assistant.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
right.
He was on there.
Yeah, I threw that away.
I framed it.
But anyway, I think one thing, and the games is a good thing to go to because I think that's something that unless you're on one of those teams, it's completely different, right? I mean, there's nothing like the pressure. It's one thing to go in with the pressure of your owner and yourself.
Right.
But when you have those three other guys that are dependent on your score and it's just, did you feel that too? Did you feel more pressure?
Your boy was on
yeah,
my
you
team.
did.
I'm like, how much weight do I have to pull here?
And he was a non-pro at that
I couldn't. I'm like,
That's
holy
right.
smokes!
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Wait, is your memory off?
What I remember is marking a really good score to make you feel confident enough to go do your job.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was.
I remember talking to the kid the night before he showed in that week, and
Nothing but confidence.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Everybody around him was shattering his confidence. Okay, everybody.
No, not everybody.
No, he was.
No.
My assistant was really good too.
But anyway, so where I was going with that is with the games when you're with 5 guys for a week and it's a team deal and that's the best part about my experiences on all those teams is the camaraderie, the how you get to know people. I've said this before, but I remember 2010, I went early the second day and it started at like 8 o'clock in the morning and I had to get out there at 6:30 to start getting ready. And you know what? Sean and Craig and Tim already showed, and Sean went much later in the day. But when I got on that horse, when I got him out at 6:30 in the morning, they were all there.
Really?
They all watched me warm up.
That's
how it was when we were in
I loved
the
it.
last games.
Yeah,
Everybody's helping each other.
Yeah,
and
it was
everybody-
great.
It's a special experience.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
And you really get to, I think you get to really know other guys. And I think that experience has given us the opportunity to understand we all have that little bit of doubt, right? There's nobody that just walks around thinking
Yeah.
I can't be beat.
I mean, there's a Walmart 1.5 miles from my house. I drive past it every time I go somewhere, and I always think there's an application right there for me to be a greeter. And
Yeah.
I could really thrive at that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know.
You're right.
Especially if you take your teeth out.
Yes, yes.
Hey, put my
They
overalls
will-
back on.
They will hire you quick. You leave those teeth in, you might not get that job.
Dressed like Lindahl, that's right.
Yeah, Lindahl.
Lynn.
Yeah,
Len.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Lindahl.
We're in crunch time. I mean, it's crunch time fraternity season right now. Getting your 3-year-olds ready. And the last 2 times you won the fraternity, you won the Vegas fraternity. You didn't do that this year, so.
Thank you.
So
What's the-
how much doubt do you have in
No,
yourself?
not that. But what's your process right now? How's it going? What's happening with your 3-year-old?
Who knows? I mean,
Yeah,
you know
no,
how it goes.
Yeah, that's a
I
great
know.
answer.
The only thing I can tell you is I have done the best job that I could do on that set of 3-year-olds, and that's all I know. When I go horse show, I've had this bunch. I felt like I've had really great horses that I've had bobbles. You know, and that just there's no way to get around that. So I feel like they're really, really good horses.
Well, so
I just hadn't gotten
what's your
shown.
process right now in the next 2 weeks getting them ready?
So, you know, for me, what I've done at home is I have gone at home there and I've put those runs together at home and worked on those parts at home where maybe getting ready for those pre-fraternities I was still teaching and not necessarily getting them horse show broke.
Gotcha.
So, you know, we had so much time at home in the quarantine, I felt like I was ahead of the curve. And then to show up at the horse show, Tulsa's not fair to put that on them. With my tailbone like it was there at Tulsa, I took that away from them. So,
Casey hurt his tailbone.
Yeah. How'd you do
Yeah,
that?
how'd you do that?
He hurt his bum bum.
I remember that.
Jumped
How'd you
it.
do
Was that after Winston's horse?
yeah.
Jumping out of the
I
helicopter.
just had one squirrel around and throw me up, and I came down on the back of the saddle.
I could remember.
So I was pretty crippled.
Yeah, I can remember you riding around looking not quite, a
Yeah.
little bit.
I'm always a little
Okay,
bit not quite.
okay.
And I was
And
just,
then,
yeah, I was
I mean,
super relieved
not
to hear
to
that
call
you had
a
bad
spade a
tailbone.
spade, but the same guy won the whole horse show 6 days later.
Yeah.
well, And I-
Tailbone magically healed.
well, to not to use it as a plug, but I sat on that pulse machine 3 or 4 times a day, and it literally made it where it didn't hurt as bad. So I could go sit on that and go ride, and then go back and sit on it and go ride. So that was a huge part of it.
Yeah, I know that was speaking of that, I know that was a big relief for you because I know how you felt about that horse from the time he was a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And just, it was like.
And you had some bad luck
little
on
thing
him.
Going around, little thing going around,
Right.
wrong, and then you finally got it all put together for that horse show.
Yeah,
I don't think he got it all put together.
I don't think I did
I
either.
think he got 60% of that horse. I think that horse is incredible.
Yeah.
I know he won a major, but and I've told him this before on the phone. I've seen that horse that night before. He does unbelievable stuff. I think he could win a major by 10 points. Not to put any pressure on you.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, like we were saying, I know when I go horse show, I have done everything I can do to prepare, and so I don't generally get nervous. That horse has been a lot of pressure on me because I know what he's capable of. I haven't had an individual with that much ability and that much style that I mean, there's no doubt in my mind if I can keep it together there, mark him whatever you want to.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that horse has actually been a lot of pressure because I know what he is.
Yeah.
He's as cool of a horse as I've ever seen.
So it's, but it was obviously, that's a huge monkey off my back on that
Did it
horse to
work?
win a major event. But I agree with Gunny where I don't feel like I didn't try to stand on him turning, I didn't stand on him circling, I didn't really stand on him running and stopping.
I think
I
he's
just-
just going to get better.
I think
yeah.
he's gonna.
I think y'all are both going to get better. Like it's like a golfer wins their first major.
Yeah.
You know, it took Phil
I haven't done that
Mickelson.
yet.
It took Phil Mickelson forever to win his first one, and he wins 4 more.
Yeah.
Like that. So
Well, the only difference there is the horse doesn't know that he won anything, and Casey's won majors before. So that, to me, that's the difference there. I mean, the horse, as far as he knows, he was 12th. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. They don't know what they cost and they don't know how they did.
Right.
But your experience, I think, is what got you through that, because I think some of what I've seen before, and as these guys can tell you, I don't probably pay as attention to things as much as a lot of people in this industry, but I did pay attention to that horse because I saw him several times at night and he looked really, really good. And I think sometimes what might have got you in trouble is trying to show him at 100% of what he is.
No doubt.
And you just backed off a notch at the NRBC, and then he was that.
Well, and that was the deal where Mike McIntyre stepped in there to help me at Tulsa. And Mike actually said, teach that horse to count to 4. Because that's been the struggle. He can turn, that horse, if you slow-mo his videos, it takes 2.5 steps to get around.
Wow.
The other ones takes 4.
Yeah.
So there's very, very little room for error there. And Mike said, teach him to count to 4. And I did that the whole week there at Tulsa. But it's never that it's not that I'm like, hey, you need to turn harder. That horse wants to crank that hard.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get him to go that fast, but I just hadn't, Tim and I talked about it at Tulsa before the finals. I just hadn't programmed him to think about the shutoff. He gave 150% in that turn. You watch the video, I mean, there's not a single leg that's not propelling him that direction.
Yeah.
And he's so strong. His hawk is 1.5 foot past where everybody else puts their hawk. So it's just, I mean, he's just a freak athlete. So that Mike helping me with that, just saying, hey, get him to anticipate it, which nobody wants that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many times do we turn 5 or 6 or whatever to try to keep them from
We
counting?
always school them from that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have never thought about, hey, dummy, just, in fact, that's, you guys know Mike, I'm going to go do a paid warm-up, and he says, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to go turn him 5 or 6 times. He said, no, you're not, dummy. You're going to turn him 4 times. And it made it where that horse was anticipating it, and so it slowed his step down a little bit, where he's not cranking at Mach 4
Yeah.
to where I can get it shut off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And how much does somebody else giving you a plan like that build your confidence in what you're doing at that point in time? Like, did it say, yeah, you know what? I am dumb. I do need to do that. Like,
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, I have that light bulb moment nearly daily of, oh boy, you are really that dumb. I think we all need those guys in our corner that there's no doubt in my mind that Mike wants me to win everywhere I go.
for sure.
Right? I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind when you're cheering me on, there's nothing for you to gain in it.
No.
Yeah.
So you got to have your guys in your corner that are encouraging you. But it's, I have guys too that will go, hey, that really looked terrible. You shouldn't be petting that thing. So I think it's important for all of us. Like we said earlier, it definitely is going to look different than it feels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Chelsea, we have some questions.
We do.
We actually planned for questions this time. We'll ask most of them. We won't ask that one we talked about.
Yeah.
Do we have anybody in our corner that picks us up?
Oh, don't even start.
Not really.
Tim's in our corner.
We got a lot of people in our corner too.
Speaking of that, hey,
We got a lot of
She
people.
makes a good point before she asks this question. Do you actually pay the people in the stands that go cheer for
Some.
Because you have
Man.
them here,
Yeah.
Some. It's a little
Yeah.
bit like the voting system went this year.
Man. Yeah, like,
Is it strategic?
He
how
has
they're all-
gerrymandered his cheering section.
yeah.
If Mandy's not there, I usually feel like I went off pattern.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a big cheering section. Sometimes
Well,
it's fake. Now, right, sometimes that's fake, right?
There have been runs where my wife is up there cheering, and I
Yeah.
have gone
You
by and
marked
gone,
You marked a 180 one time.
Yeah.
She was going.
She
bananas
never-
cheering.
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, she is 100% doing her part to convince those judges that it looks a whole lot better than what
Yeah.
you're seeing. Like the old saying, you gonna believe me or your lying eyes? She's trying to talk those judges into saying, it's really better than you think it is. But there have been runs where I've gone,
Yeah.
going, well, I gotta finish this so I don't get fired.
You quit cheering, maybe everybody quit watching.
I just want, yeah, that's exactly right. But, a little bit different personality there with me and Tom where You may be a complete stranger, and I'm going to say, "Hey, how you doing?" And I'd known Tom for 20-something years before he ever made eye contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's-
I mean,
I know you regret that time, but
I don't
That's
really.
right. Yeah, no, not so much.
No, I don't. And I've often said this, like, if we got a certain allotment of words every day,
I know.
by noon I could sell mine to him because he'd be out.
That's right.
Yeah, he talks to everybody, and people like you. I mean, people do like you, and people don't like me.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I mean,
And that's okay.
it's just the way it is.
That's great.
But I mean, I think when you're watching a horse show, you can see that a lot of time. Like, you can tell how the crowd reacts to people, and
right.
Oh yeah,
you know,
of course.
cheers for people, and
Yeah.
It
It tries to fake them out, and
Yeah.
for sure.
you know.
Yeah.
So, what do we got for
Yeah.
questions?
So Miss Wilson asked, what was the horse that you had your doubts of being a good show horse for you, but overcame those obstacles and proved you wrong?
Little Bay Starlight, the one Gunny talked about earlier. He was
A Bay Starlight.
no, he was a gray Starlight.
Oh, okay.
He was a gray Starlight out of a daughter Docalina, and Robbie Robertson bought him as a 5-year-old. They'd done surgery on a hawk, and so it was huge, right? But completely healed up, no trouble. But Richard Sutton had him, and he just wasn't going to move.
Oh, that's right.
So that horse had very little riding, and he was an orphan. And if you rode another horse close to him, he was out of there. I mean, absolutely impossible to get ready. And I can remember I'd ridden him 9 or 10 months or whatever, and I took him to a quarter horse show in Stephenville. And you remember that warm-up pen's the size of this room.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to Nicole, I mean, I can't ride him around two-handed. And I said, why am I here? And she said, you're already here. You may as well take him in there and school him. And it was a run-in pattern, and I ran